Hello everyone. This is gonna be an interesting one. So I'm actually propping this camera up a certain way and got notes to what I want to talk about. Corny, but no, it's not corny. It's good. Self-consciousness. You know, I guess it's like anytime that I go to do something as simple as this, it's like I'm self-conscious if I'm doing this for no apparent reason or not. But obviously, it's something that I've been doing and it makes me happy. So I'm gonna keep doing it anyways. So it's weird because when I've been doing this kind of impromptu and it's been feeling pretty good, and all of a sudden, like I put down my thoughts and it feels kind of odd because I guess I'm an impromptu type of cat, like even when I've gone dancing over the years, all my life, I should say, that every now and then I drop in to take an actual class and I could never follow anybody else's rhythm. But the you give me some music and just leave me alone, like I just flow, I just dance. So I'm in pretty in tune with my rhythm, I think, like my natural rhythm. So anytime that I rely on something, like even like this is a good example. But all aside, what I want to say, I'm, feeling good today, as I am most of the days. When I'm not feeling good, I go inside. What means is just a lot of thinking, and it just looks like I'm complacent or not doing anything. I accept that of myself because it's process. It's like no matter what's going on in my life or what I need to do. For my daily survival or all the stuff of life, bills and this and that, like it's important to me that like how I am going to keep running my life, even if the powers that be is knocking on my door taking whatever because X, Y, and Z. Like it's important that like I'm gonna do keep being myself and honoring myself and know that there is a plan for me and everyone else too. But that plan, I don't know what that plan is, like a grand scheme of things. Maybe there's no plan. Exactly how I am living my life or any of you is exactly how it's supposed to go out. Nothing different than this. And the relationship that we have or don't have, that is exactly the way. We could hope for something different, that's fine too, but in the moment, until we get our hopes or dreams or whatever, before it comes through on our way, we have to individually figure out how to be centered or happy and so on. So having said that, everything in my life seems pretty precarious. I think it's always been. I probably had some times in my life where things seemed more smooth, where if I'm working for myself or doing something that like motivates me and inspires me, and I'm more independent. But last so many years, I'm working for other people, and it's like a lot of time it's like having to just listening to other people, whether they're right or wrong, or if they're being mean, or if they're being kind of toxic, or just putting their stuff onto me or other people. Having to, it's a practice to actually, okay, it's not just getting this work done, it's not just paying my bill or trying to be peace with people. It's like, I said a couple of weeks ago, like even if I'm peaceful and trying to go at it, like the external world, whoever may be, they might not resonate with that shit. I mean, they're because they're on their emotions path and their trajectory, and they got to get out what it needs to get out. And if you're in the path, you might get a lot of it. Maybe that's the stuff of human problems, or like disharmony with each other, because we don't know how to separate like what's going on in me and what's going on, and then I just kind of, come when somebody else will come up on me, I don't have enough awareness so that I just take it out on them rather than taking a look at myself, right? And that's work. That's a lot of work. It's like movement to movement work, but I feel like that's a good alternative, because what happens is that it just kind of makes you kind of crawl in, and while you're crawling in, it's important that like if you're taking a look at yourself, like even if you think you're doing wrong or someone else is thinking you're doing wrong, if you start judging yourself, then like you spiral down because you're not feeling good, because the only person that could somehow give you a little pat on your back is yourself. So you can't judge yourself too harsh, and you can't judge other people. Definitely don't judge other people, because you know, they're not responsible for my life, you know. Sometimes it appears like it is, but I think like that creates a lot of disharmony in the world. Okay, precarious, like, you know, for work, my relationship seems very precarious, for short ones and the long ones, you know, whatever that means, you know. Wow, this is yeah, future, past, and present. You know, been really thinking a lot. I feel like I'm pretty good in either like assessing or resolving or even letting my past go. But every now and then I come up on a circumstance or situation or person that I might, or I react, or I don't react actually in physical ways, but in my spirit it's like trying to get angry or trying to get blameful, but I know how to like really back and hold it, because I know universe I subscribe to this is trying to teach me, hey soldier, look out, watch out, look out, this is where you're gonna practice to just to stay, you know, in silent, and let that take that energy, I mean, and just let it go somewhere else where it's trying to go or whatever, right? That's that. So as far as the, you know, future, you know, a long time ago I saw this little comedy, was part of a movie where these two women get into a fight, like a big fight. You know, it was like a brawl fight, like your normal woman, and they both show up, or one of them shows up on court, and the judge says to, and the one of the women, like they both beat each other up pretty good, but one of them decides to wear sunglasses because to hide her the bruises or whatever, and then the judge asks her, so what happened to your, you know, eyes? Why are you wearing sunglasses in here? And she's like, because my future looks bright. I thought that's amazing. I kind of look at that. I always think to myself, yeah, my future does look bright. But when I say that, the brightness or whatever it is, I think like humanity's future could look bright. Like I a couple of weeks ago, I was saying this thing is like the golden era of humanity may come just like right around the corner, maybe, I don't know, like the golden era of Hollywood or all of that, right? You know, guys, you guys know that concept. So for humanity that could happen, you know, but I can't go spread that, even that word, because someone else is that's not feeling like that, I'm gonna piss that person off. So but for me, you know, I get through my movements and I feel like my golden moment is like right now, or it's in the, you know, right around the corner. And my golden moment might not be just like a whole bunch of money and a whole bunch of people to love and cars, and you know, all of those might be nice, but my golden moment is like, I posted a video last night, like, you know, um, I went for a walk, after having a shower, put some cologne on. Cologne is like a thing of people from, I don't know, I don't want to generalize, but Southeast Asia, Middle East, even Latinos, even like men, like especially men, because I'm a man in this life, that we like wearing cologne or like kind of get peacocked up, you know, a little bit more, you know, like a certain way dressed. Anyway, so when I do that for myself, it feels good, you know, I'm kind of going on here. So, uh, you know, just kind of feeling good at the moment, and then the next moment kind of like prettying it up a little by doing something as simple as, you know, putting on some cologne. Like a couple days ago, I went and brought just a little bottle of a good lotion, like after, you know, after shower lotion, and like, you know, I paid a little bit more than what I would normally, because what kind of products in there, you could buy something for $1, you could buy something for $50, you know. So I bought something, you know, like, I don't know, under $10. So that made me feel really good. Like I'm physically taking care of myself. Nobody's, you know, nobody's gonna see what my body or whatever. Not in these days, anyway. So, but it was literally for me. You know, anytime that I'm try to get cleaned up in these days, it's really, it feels like, okay dude, like, you know, um try to, you know, look aesthetically as much as possible, because what I look like aesthetically might not be aesthetically pleasing to somebody else, but it's cool. That's where our growth of self, you know, self-esteem, like a physical self-esteem, the way we look, to make, you know, make friends with that. um so yeah, future, past, the present moment. I got a little bit more to go. You know, if somebody's watching this, it might be a longer video. So, you know, what is true freedom? What is true freedom? You know, the way this realm, this life is kind of set up, and no one, I don't know who set it up. Maybe we are setting it up for ourselves. It's like there's really like you could have some internal feelings of freedom intermittently on some level. Let's say you got a brand new job or whatever, or something's making you feel like life is good now. I got freedom to pay all my bills, go do something extra. But what does that mean? Like it's still there is somewhere that like it's not really real freedom because I don't know what real freedom is. It could be just those moments where like you're not really thinking about anything, getting things or giving things, or you're thinking about anyone or anything. Like it's just a void, like a moment that just like you're, I don't know, lack of better word, you're just chilling, like you don't even know. Like people in meditation talk about it. Like I'm not that much of a meditative person. I try sometime, but I think my form of meditation is just kind of being active, if that's like even true, right? So sometimes when I have moments where sometimes I be driving somewhere or biking or be just being like I have this like need to like scream like like some kind of like music or like just funny sounds. Of course I got my glass closed and I make sure nobody's around because that's a ground for somebody to pick you up as a crazy man, whatever. So yeah, so other than like those small moments of freedom, what does freedom mean? Because I think most of the things like freedom means like you get money, like resources, power, influence, and that gives you freedom. Yes, it might give you some freedom because you could fly away somewhere, you could have a beautiful meal, you could attract all kind of people to have a great time. Is that freedom? Because in this realm, I don't know. Okay, well, I'm kind of looking at this. It's just kind of weird because I'm not like free flowing. But this is good for me because I get to re look at my words. So freedom. Okay, renouncement of letting living. Let's say if you want true freedom, right? Then you're saying like you're gonna be detached from everything, and you're just gonna run into a mountain or like go to a monastery and like just give up like desire and stuff like that. But even within that, you're probably, if you're in a monastery, of course you gotta listen to the elder monks or the monastery rules, and you still gotta eat even if you're drinking a cup of water or a little piece of rice or whatever. So and then you're still relying because you're not free. I mean, you're free from a lot of most of stuff of life, but you're still a few things, right? So there's maybe in this life, in this realm, there's no such a thing as like complete freedom, right? Even if you completely detach and no desires and whatnot, right? Unless you just go sit somewhere and you just rot to death, like to be blunt and to be abrasive, right? And because you're saying like instead of you're just kind of like disintegrating naturally, and I think people have done that, and maybe people still do that. But what's the, and this is my new thought, is like what's the, like, even though people talk about like heaven and hell, after death, coming back, another life, reincarnation, or like all of that, go to heaven or meet God, like all of those are possibilities, and people talk about it in a very convincing way. But I don't know that. I mean, there's a couple of possibilities, like we could go off and become spirit where there's no body, right? Or we just, as soon as we die and we're on the ground, like we become food for their whatever, and we rot and we're just part of the soil, earth. Okay, and that's when maybe people say you're one with the earth, you're made of those chemical, then maybe that's what that is, right? And I think there was like a third thing is that, okay, you go away. Oh, the reincarnation, right? Like you reincarnate and you come back as a snake or like an evolved person, or maybe not as an evolved person. Like maybe in this life, I think like I don't have it in me to be like some hardcore businessman or some like high-minded thief, all of that, because I'm a creative guy, and I always think to myself, and this is somebody you guys think about if anybody's interested, like creative people in this realm, like when they cannot really materialize their creativity to the max, especially really creative people like artists and musicians and poets and thinking people, right? I think they come into any given society, and to really materialize your like gift and the true creativity, you have to like step out of the norm or the society. And when you do that, you either look crazy, you get locked up, or you get looked at like, and then you're on a path toward like not complying or like being a rebel, and it puts you on a path to get your shit locked up, to be abrasive or shunned, or you become addicted to stuff, and you're kind of, because you're just trying to like, I don't know this for sure. Supposedly Adolf Hitler just wanted to be an artist, right? And this is, again, I wasn't there, whatever. But early on, when he was rendering like very realistic life looking images, and he wanted to supposedly get into one of the art schools at the time, that prestigious art school, and I supposedly they didn't accept him. So is it possible like he went and did the, all that, and followed a path of, killing and doing all of that, and like, is it possible like that's there's like this immense creative power that he had? He could have put it to this use, but he went to that other extreme because it had to come out, right? Creativity, I think, is powerful because it could be creation and destruction, right? I guess, the Hindus believe Lord Shiva, right? Like creation, and maybe the world, this realm is made like creation, destruction. Kind of come back to the point that if so yeah, so if you're highly creative and you're not able to get your um, art out, or your music, then you're bound to stray, unless you become absolutely mindful that to do your art of whatever medium it is, you cannot, censor yourself, because as soon as you censor yourself, it is not true creativity. Because that's why a lot of time you get a lot of like a lot of artists like who become very popular, just really out there. Once they cross that threshold where you could tell, where they could just do their thing and just really not tell people to go fuck off, but they, in their being who they are, they're like, they're saying like, live or die, I'm gonna do this thing. Or I mean, like sometimes people who put themselves out to be like a civil rights movement person, or I think there's a like Sheikh Abad, like I think like he was like a person who was trying to get freedom for oppressed people, right? So when like art or anything like that, you're trying to like step on the current the status quo. You're gonna have to like, one would have to make a clear decision. Oh shit, this is like, okay, I'm a normal person, I'm gonna do whatever, I become like a part of a like a makeup of a society with like what's normal and what's not, right? And but any time that I feel like I or anyone else that you feel like, no, this is BS, like I need to like uh put out what's my body, mind, and the spirit thing, and you step out, it's like you're kind of putting yourself out there. Anything could happen to you, and people do go to that extent of like, what's like, you call it like, some people die for their cause, and like in human history, I guess a lot of people have like, and when they do die for that cause, is that a true form of freedom? It's like, did those people come to a point like they wanted to be free of all the stuff that's maybe be put on, and they truly believe what they have to say is true, right? Not true for other people, that is true for them, and they're going to go out and do it, right? I don't know if I'm that person, because I thought to myself like for a long time, and I still do in a comic way, if some great god comes down to me, right, and say, "Ja, you're gonna be like the person that's gonna go out and spread this message, and I'm gonna give your some superpower or whatever to be able to change the world, to transform the world for the better." And I'm thinking, I don't know, I'll be like, whoa, hold up, God or whatever. um I'll be like, I'm not sure that like even though like I'm somebody I've thought a great deal about like living is great, but I'm not afraid to die either. Like when my time like come, or like I've had nights sometime like things are going on in my life. If it's a, like if I feel like if it's not resolved, I feel like okay, whatever whomever out there, like don't take me tonight or tomorrow. Let me see if I can resolve this. But there are moments like even with with without anything, I feel resolved. I feel like oh well, yeah, this is a good night to die or whatever. I have done that, right? But so now having said that, if something or someone tells me at today like what do you like here's everything you need, but you got to go out there and do this huge big thing, and I don't know what that thing would be, that I would just really put myself out there. Because in human history, people like what I was saying, like who have tried to change things, yeah, they may change that for a little bit, but have they really changed anything? Like, whether it's this country or other country, like maybe things are better in some way, but are they really better? Maybe I think they are, but a couple hundred years ago, there's always been some person that's trying to do better. But like, yeah, somebody does better, people kind of behave and get along, and then like right around the corner, we kind of like go at each other in some other angle, some other different way. So is this again, this realm is made up so that it's never supposed to come to an equilibrium? I'm not saying that out of hopelessness, but it's like maybe it's that's the lesson for us to learn, that like freedom, like if I want freedom, I could go get, okay, freedom, what does that mean? Someone else just gives me the freedom or lets me vote or respects me, so once I get all that, now what? Like you respect me, that a whole bunch of people respect me or gives me freedom to be or freedom to act or behave. Like once I get that, now what, kind of, right? And who should give me freedom? Who should I give freedom to? It's just such an abstract thing, right? Ranton and Raven. Okay, so freedom to okay, freedom when it comes to money and resources, right? So richest person in the world, right? They could be free, blah blah blah, but are they really free? Like, because I know if I have a lot of money, let's say for today, I would have to really keep up on, oh, okay, like what do I got in this? Especially if it's like a couple of, I'm talking about rich, like in the millions or billions or whatever, like you're just a high mover, that I have to be mindful of my money. I have to be mindful of people that I associate with or that they associate with me. I kind of like, it's an interesting place. Like maybe like if you get to a certain point in place, like with money, power, and influence, is that you could walk in it, right? You could feel maybe good about it, like everybody's, but can one live in that money, power, rich, and all that like 24/7? Like, would there come a point you're like, you just like, fuck it, I just want to go down and get me coffee and like not to have somebody. I don't know. I've never been in that situation where like somebody's coming to like bug me because I may have something that they want. But so that's the thing, right? Like resources and power, it has its place, but do you become a target? On the other spectrum is that if you're a poor person, a poor man is like, the rich man is always maybe looking over his shoulder, right? Who's going to take my stuff? And the poor man might be looking over his shoulder and saying like, who's going to give me some stuff today, whether it has to do with basic resources or like a job or like a place to live, so have and the have not, like we're like both on on this realm, trying to get a little bit, and the other one is trying to, you get what I mean, right? So it's still like a dichotomy, it's a dilemma. I suppose that there's a middle line where you don't have too much, maybe you're just kind of, and I think like that's kind of what I'm striving for, because it doesn't really matter to me where I work, what kind of work I do. I have to be honest, I won't kill or cheat or rape or lie or nothing like that. Like I'm very pretty, I've been trying to be really, even like the type of businesses that I work for and like what's their bigger goal, like how they roll in the big sense of the thing. I mean, it's kind of hard, I think, like if you're working, it's difficult. If you're just trying to get a job, yes, there's a lot of jobs, you could have an entry level corporate job, but do I resonate with the corporate mission of what they're trying to do, the goods and service. Like it's like that's such a hard thing to rummage if I got to pay some bills today, you know. So yeah, so that's something I think about a lot. Maybe that there's a happy medium, right? Whoa, yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's say to yeah. I think I'm kind of come back to this moment, you know, at this moment. So it all comes back to this moment, you know. Um, if you're happy, maybe you're just happy. Just you know, like right now, I'm kind of content. I'm out in nature, rode my bike. I'm gonna go do a few tasks, you know. Um, if be looking for another job, you know, trying out a lot of jobs these days. You know, then maybe it's gonna be my thing, like try out 100 jobs before I get on from this part of life or whatever, you know. Or I will come up on a job, person, place, or thing, a situation that I'm gonna fit, or it's gonna fit with me so well that it's gonna be beautiful. That's again two possibilities. Um, yeah, if you're getting if you're getting cash, getting ass and trash. Wait. If you're getting cash, this is abrasive. I'm sorry. If right now you're poor, unattractive, or you feel unattractive, and nobody wants your ass around, you got to be in that situation, right? Well, the other hand, you know, you getting cash, you're getting ass, and you're getting grass. It's in that, not in that order, whatever. It's you know, that's good too. Like you know, how long can we stand that? You know, we get everything that we want. It's kind of like eating a, you know, I'm pretty sure everybody in the world likes chocolate. But if you went into a chocolate factory or chocolate store and eat chocolate all day, it's not going to be the same. You know what I'm talking about? Uh, some earthly perfection. Okay, live and let live. If would there be a some earthly perfection, like for a whole duration, you know, people talk about that, like I think Shanghai, like there's been like, oh, Atlantis, I don't know, I don't I'm not so factual, because you know, facts or truth or logic or practical, true, all of that's all like relative to what one's perception and what you're thinking about all that. Just because I may say something and I tell you, hey, so that's logical, that sounds practical, you know, it doesn't mean it actually is. Like maybe there's one or two things in this whole realm that one could take it as it's like logic or practical, like gravity, right? Like as far as I know, unless you know you get on some hallucination, if you jump off a building you're not going to fly. Even though like there's been a few times in my life I just kind of ponder, not that I've tried to jump off any place. I've had moments like that, but I feel like there could have been a time in human history that humans flew, like we actually had wings. I know that sounds mythological, but again, same thing, like mythology and religious, true and not true, and facts and history and logic and practical, non-practical. You know, all of those are pretty relative, I think, other than a few things like, I don't know, stuff that happens in nature, you know. When it rains you get wet, like okay, that's a fact, that's logical, right? But anything else that anyone could tell me, like for me, and I can't subscribe to this to anybody else, about religion or politics or what's actually happening, what's actually happened, what's happening now, what will happen, there's no actual facts. At least that's how I roll, you know. If it's not happening to me, I don't know. When it happens to me, whatever it may be, I could assess it. I might assess it and go, oh yeah, that was just a little, you know, and somebody else could have thought of that completely differently than what I. So that's the nature of this realm. Opinions, close to 8 billion people. I don't know, you guys could check that each person, and I'm pretty sure other people have said this in a more eloquently, that each person is watching or doing their life looking through their lens. Even the closest person to you, maybe we're close at that moment, loving and thinking that we're all like seeing it exactly, both of us seeing straight. But there is a somewhere in there, like we're not seeing all of this as the same, you know. And there is no, I'm just subscribing to this, and this is where my practice of, if I come up on a person or situation that there's this harmony, like they're saying something, I'm saying something, they're doing something, I'm doing something, it feels like there's no cohesiveness or synchronicity. There's no like vibing together, jiving together, whatever. I am practicing that it is the way it's supposed to be. I can't convince them. They can't convince. We can pretend to be convinced for the moment. Sometimes we have to be, like, for instance, working in certain jobs. I realize is that I like to, and I'm just saying this, and I'm just truthful. Whatever job I've been working at is like I feel like just do your work, you know, and just get paid or whatever. But somebody else might think of that job as like menial, or that you're working for the man or corporation, and curse them, curse the customers, and curse the employee. It's like, to me, I'm in a place where I feel like it's all good. It's all good. I think, like, even when it's not, because some of the stuff in this realm, it feels uncomfortable. But even that, I'm subscribing and I'm practicing. Like, okay, this shall too pass, right? I know it's a biblical quote, but yeah. So, lastly, yeah, can a perfect some earthly perfection, kind of like some of those in historically that they were, going back to that what I started to say. There is some civilization that they lived in some form of perfection, that there was no, like, 50-50, or you do this, I do that. Maybe perhaps there's no slavery, no control. Everyone just had a role, and they did their role without having told to do so, or telling someone else or implying to someone else to do this, that they just kind of work together. Like, a good example would be when we see a flock of birds. Like, I keep referring to birds. I love watching birds. Sometimes it's like my way of, like, decompressing myself and just looking at birds. But all of you have seen birds when they fly in that V formation. It's like, I don't think they have a complex system of, like, kind of talking to each other and saying, okay, bird number one, you need to go back to the back, or bird number three, you need to go to like, they just kind of do it. It's just like an effortless action. It's instinctive, and they're all going to some location to be replenished, or to get away, to get to good weather, or whatever it is. Like, all of us are at any moment trying to have a better job, or better life, or better communication, better relationship, better living condition, all of that, right? All on the same path, right? Or whatever. Even when we're screwing up, or like, even when we're like, when our lives are not going good, and when we're like going toward some messed up situation, maybe that's something we bring on ourselves, and that's to debate, right? So if I'm having an awful day, maybe I'm drinking, smoking, and doing all kind of stuff. Maybe I'm like hating the world, or blaming and all that, right? There's millions of other people on some level somewhere on this realm doing that same thing as I am, because they're not having a good day, right? On the flip side is that a whole bunch of people might be having a good day. So in our earthly perfection, is it possible we come to a point, like a collective consciousness, where that we understand that fact, right? Like, in human emotions, there's like only very few big emotions, and there's like variances of those emotions. You have grief and sadness, joy and bliss. Those have been like to the same. Sorrow, or anger and blame and discontentment, and all of that, whether to ourselves, to each other, or to the larger world. Like, it's just kind of, so if we come to a point, like, in collective consciousness way, without me telling you or someone else telling me, like, I understand that to my core, then when I'm having a bad day, when nothing is going in my world right, let's say, I'm able to try to put myself back together on some level and go forward. And everyone else does the same thing. So it's kind of like I have this image of, like, all of us walking, right? Like, walking like this life, right? some good happening to this person, bad happened to this person, and so on. But we're able to kind of like we're able to kind of like take care of whatever's going on within ourselves without having to like undermine the other person, or vice versa. So if we could do that, non-judgmental, non-blame, non-conditional, live and let live. Well, 1,000 years or so of human history, even that I don't know. Did that happen? Could it happen? But today, make it happen for you. That's all I gotta say. Peace, love, assalamu alaikum, namaskaram. All the best today and every day. Bye bye.